In North Vietnam, sabotage and ambush missions under Operation Plan 34A by United States Special Forces and Nung tribesmen. It's inconclusive. In Laos, under Operation Shining Brass and Prairie Fire, sabotage and ambush missions by the United States Special Forces personnel and Nung and Male tribesmen under General Bang Pao. Now think about this. America sending our special forces troops in other nations to assassinate, to sabotage, to ambush people and missions. This is meddling, creating mischief, and causing the shedding of blood. In Thailand, they recruited 17,000 mercenaries to support Laotian government of Phumi Nosavan resisting the Pathet Lao. Successful. In Peru, America's money, taxpayer dollars, provided training in assassination and interrogation techniques for Peruvian police and intelligence personnel, similar to the training given in Uruguay, Brazil, and the Dominican Republic in an effort to defeat the resistance movement. This was unsuccessful. In Indonesia, to organize a campaign of propaganda to overthrow the Sukarno government and precipitate conditions leading to the massacre of more than 500,000 members of Indonesian Communist Party in order to eliminate opposition to the new Suharto government imposed on Indonesia by the United States of America. In 1967, in Bolivia, in South America, our government assisted that government in the capture of Ernesto Che Guevara, and they were successful. And as you know, Che Guevara was assassinated in Bolivia. In Greece, the overthrow of the government of George Papandreou and install a military government of Colonel George Papadopoulos after the abdication of King Constantine. Successful. But is it meddling? Is it interfering in the internal affairs of others? What is the purpose of such a foreign policy? Keep tuning in. It'll come on in the next 5 minutes. Cambodia, under projects Daniel Boone and Salem House, sabotage and ambush mission by the United States Special Forces personnel, inconclusive. In Cambodia, a bombing campaign to crush Viet Cong sanctuaries in Cambodia, unsuccessful, unknown by the American people. In Cambodia, overthrow the government of Prince Norodom Sihanouk, successful. In Chile, South America, campaign of assassinations, propaganda, labor strikes, and demonstrations to overthrow the government of Salvador Allende with a cost of $8,400,000 American taxpayer dollars, and this was successful. In Afghanistan, military and financial assistance to the government of Mohammed Duad to resist the rise to power of Nur Mohammed Taraki, unsuccessful. In Portugal, in Europe, the overthrow of the government of General Vasco dos Santos Gonçalves, successful. In Angola, the military assistance to forces of Olden Ruberto and Jonas Savimbi to defeat the forces of the Popular Movement for the Liberation of Angola. during the Angola Civil War and to prevent the MPLA from forming a new government, and America was unsuccessful. In Australia, propaganda and political pressure to force the dissolution of a Labour government of Gough Whitlam, it was successful. In Jamaica, in the Caribbean, a military coup to overthrow the government of Michael Manley, unsuccessful. In 1984, in Angola, financial and military assistance to the forces of Jonas Savimbi to harass and destabilize Neto and succeeding governments, inconclusive. In Iran, install a military government to replace the Shah and resist the growth of Muslim fundamentalism, unsuccessful. In Jamaica, again in the Caribbean, financial pressure to destabilize the government of Michael Manley and campaign propaganda and demonstrations to defeat his government in elections, and it was successful. We're coming to the end, but this is just not all of the covert operations, just a small amount of them. In Afghanistan in 1979, military aid to rebel forces of Zia Nezri, Zia Khan Nasri, Gulbuddin Hakmatyar, Syed Ahmed Gailani, and conservative mullahs to overthrow the government of Hafizullah Amin, aborted by the Soviet intervention and the installation of a new government. From 1980 to 1984 in Afghanistan, continuing military aid to same rebel groups to harass the Soviet occupation forces and challenge the legitimacy of the government of Babrak Kemal. I must tell you that this led to the Soviet Union's ultimate collapse and the rise of Osama bin Laden and the Mujahideen that were financed and given intelligence by the America's CIA. Well, let's go on. In the Seychelles, off the coast of Africa, to destabilize the government of France Albert René, successful. In Grenada, a mercenary coup to overthrow the government of Prime Minister Maurice Bishop, successful. In Dominica, financial support to the Freedom Party of Eugenia Charles to defeat Oliver Seraphim in Dominican elections, successful. And because America aided Eugenia Charles under the Reagan administration, he could use Eugenia Charles to open the door for Reagan to send his troops into Grenada to overthrow the government of Maurice Bishop and cause his assassination. In Mauritius, financial support for Siwusaga Ramgoolam to bring him to power in the 1982 elections, unsuccessful. In Libya, broad campaign of economic pressure, propaganda, military maneuvers in Egypt, Sudan, and the Gulf of Sidra or Sirte, and organization of Libyan Liberation Front exiles to destabilize the government of Muammar Gaddafi. It was inconclusive. In Chad, in Africa, military assistance to Hissène Habré to overthrow the government of Gukuni Udeki, successful. In Guatemala, a military coup to overthrow the government of Angel Anibal Guevara, successful. In Bolivia, a military coup to overthrow the government of Celso Torrelia, successful. In Jordan, military assistance to equip and train 2 Jordanian brigades as an Arab strike force to implement United States policy objectives without Israeli assistance. In Suriname, in South America, overthrow the government of Colonel Desi Bouterse. 3 attempts in this period unsuccessful. In El Salvador, 1.4 million in financial support for the presidential election campaign of Jose Napoleon Duarte successful. So, my beloved brothers and sisters, this continues.